Okay, so this is Priority Matrix. It's an application that I developed to assist myself in being more organized, keeping up with things. You may notice a trend when you look at the applications that I develop. I mostly develop applications to assist myself, and thus, if I believe that it will work for me, I believe that it will work for others, and so I believe that I can sell it. You may also notice another trend. A lot of these applications you really possibly could have created or managed or maintained or what have you using something like a spreadsheet, right? Um, and that's what most applications actually are. A simple Excel spreadsheet or Google spreadsheet could have assisted you in creating your application already, or you could have made a system already. But with an application, more people are inclined, people don't necessarily download spreadsheets, but they do download applications. So more people are more comfortable with downloading applications. So let's go into better detail about how Priority Matrix works. Priority Matrix works. And this, as well as the other applications belonging to specific modules, will have their code in a TXT file, a simple text file. That way you can go through the steps that I take to take these applications from just being applications that are working in a browser to applications that actually work on your Android phone, that you actually download onto your Android phone and test there. And furthermore, converting those applications into app files, which you can then release to the Google Play Store. As an APK, though, most other stores will allow you to release your application there. And do remember that note to self is creating an app store all our own as well. And so you'll be able to release your application there as well. Again, simply by being a member and, having paid for the course. So with Priority Matrix, we add tasks or priorities. You can either add the tasks individually, specifying their name, specifying a deadline if you desire, placing a mental value that you have on it. How important is it to you? Maybe I need to change that to desire, if you will. And urgency. How important is it to get it done? Okay. All of this, remember, was built in DeepSeek relatively easily, relatively simply. And after we have added said task, it will show up in our in this section here, tasks. Now I'm going to load some sample data here, and this is what it's going to look like. Now the cool thing is that load sample data was actually suggested by DeepSeek itself. It placed that in early on in the project, just so I can show you something how it's going to work with. As you can see, yellow is more urgent, right? The due date is 3/1/2026. Okay. And green is somewhat urgent, right? So the whole thing is set up with that color scheme in mind, a goldish yellow and a green. These can also be looked at on the actual matrix, which is a 2x2 priority matrix. The tasks are organized by urgency, vertical, and value, horizontal. Gold borders indicate high priority tasks. So again, if it has the gold borders, you'll see high priority. So far, these are not necessarily high priority, but nonetheless, they do show due now. Again, I'm showing this on the on my Android, right? So I'll go back to tasks just so you can basically see how it might look on your Android phone. And the cool thing about the priority matrix is also you have the priority scores, but you also can organize your task based on deadline, based on value, based on urgency, and based on name. Now, this priority score is only created actually through the comparison system, where we compare the differing tasks against each other to see which ones are actually more valued by you. When you're going through this, I typically like to think of either what can I do the fastest, or what is the easiest. Sometimes, though, you might also like to think of what is the most difficult and get those done first. But again, that can be arranged here, right? That could be manipulated here based on deadline, urgency, and value. I think I might change value to difficulty, and I might add two more here, thinking about it. Okay. So now, as you can see, we have complete project proposal versus update portfolio. So the left one is the topmost one. The right one is the bottommost one. Okay. And simply by tapping on it or choosing left or choosing right, you can select it all those ways. And these touch features, again, are accessible because we also developed this with phones in mind, right? So now schedule team meeting versus complete project proposal. Schedule team meeting seems easier. Review quarterly reports or update portfolio. Update portfolio sounds more fun. Complete project proposal or review quarterly reports. Complete the project proposal sounds more fun. Schedule a meeting or review quarterly. I don't like reading reports. Update portfolio versus schedule a team meeting, update portfolio. And boom, this gives you your scores, the priority rankings that you have for all of your tasks. So now number 1 is update the portfolio, schedule a meeting, complete the project proposal, and then review quarterly reports. You can reset all the scores if you want to redo it all over again. And as you add more tasks, so too will that be added to these rankings, and you will adjust that accordingly. So this is the priority matrix. I got the idea of creating this based on it's either a TikTok or an Instagram video. A young lady was showcasing how she prioritizes tasks, and I really liked the way that it looked. But hers was quite different. I'll actually see if I can find that video and showcase it to you. Her system was quite different, but all in all, I said, can I make this into an app? And a lot of the things that I think about or that I see online, since creating apps are so much more easier now with AI, I always think of, can I make this into an app? And if so, how can I? And the cool thing about using AI is that when you can't necessarily think of how to make something into an app, you can throw out ideas to your AIs of choice, and it can throw back to you potential applications, right? Potential ways that you can make a application. So you can use the priority matrix as inspiration and as a template to create your own applications. Since you purchased the course, you can also repurpose the application in and of itself because you have the source code. Like I said, there are some things that I want to add to mine that's going to make it even different from what you're viewing right now. But you're also going to, have your own thing. So we can be up in competition with each other. But the long and short of it is that the development of an application goes from idea to an actual product based on what you're consuming day to day and how you're thinking and what questions are you asking. Like I said, more often than not, when I am looking at things, when I am viewing things, I'm also thinking of, is there a way to convert this from just a visual into an actual application that I can use and that others can use? And hopefully you keep this in mind. Some aspects that were difficult, I can't remember, but in a brief moment, I'm actually going to bring up the documentation, the chat logs that I had with the DeepSeek in order to construct the priority matrix, just so you can really see how the process normally goes. Although with the previous module, some of the same key elements that I did when creating Prompt Forge are the same elements that I followed when creating a priority matrix. So we'll get into that in just a moment.